when we started 29 Studios, it wasn't the first time. It was the time that was going to be the forever business. And 29 Studios has been the forever business.
In business, sometimes you have to be direct and honest. But when you're that combination of family, it can also be very emotional. And you're trying to separate those emotions from just your personal life and your family life.
We were once told to fold the business, and we said no, because we can do it. And we've proved them wrong. We're here.
Welcome to a very special episode of the 29ers Unscripted. The reason it's special is because this month we celebrate our 17th birthday for 29 Studios. Way back in 2009 when we first set off on this journey. What did we actually think the business was going to be back then?
I think probably a traditional graphic design creative company.
Yeah, with like film, edit, video production. Because that's what the industry, we were very Glasgow based, so that's what it was kind of crying out for, was that stability of a company that could do that. But it was just film production and graphics. Maybe web design, did we? I don't know.
We've done a little web design.
We've always done web design at different levels of quality. Our first website, we didn't. I remember it's way back. I think it wasn't
responsive. Then.
Yeah. I suppose terminology now, everything's responsive, everything's for every device. But back then, we built it for like this. We were building on a big screen. We bought ourselves a big screen.
Buttons were like that size.
And our very first website we built, it looked great on this big screen. But then when we then looked at it on a smaller screen, the buttons took up the whole screen. And we're like, oh, there might be a responsive issue here. So, but just like as you do when you start business, you learn as you go along. It's like flying the plane and fueling it at the same time, as they say, and then jumping out. What was your thoughts, Gillian, back then?
I'm going to be a wee bit controversial. I think actually when we started the business, we were setting up a content house. We were building an agency that was different to all the other agencies that were alive at that point in 2009. And in my head, I've always wanted to have a business that works internationally. And I set out with a very clear vision to do that.
But if you think, obviously, we started the very first business, so 29 Studios wasn't our first venture as entrepreneurs. We first started in 1998, but so we probably kind of learned a lot over those years. So when we did set up 29 Studios, we had a little bit of experience, but just like everything, every day is a new experience. So that was your first kind of like...
For 29 Studios, because the journey that we were on before that, we were working internationally, and I loved that. And we learned many lessons in the first couple of businesses, and we learned how to cut our teeth. We learned what starting a business was actually all about. So when we started 29 Studios, it wasn't the first time. It was the time that was going to be the forever business. And 29 Studios has been the forever business. And I think that we did set it up with intention and purpose, but considerations in the market took us away from what we originally set up as, which was a traditional content house. And it has just evolved considerably over the years.
But does it feel like 17 years?
No.
But do you know
Longer?
one thing?
No. But sometimes you think 17 years ago, a lot's happened in 17 years, but then other times it feels like yesterday.
Yeah. I think the reason it feels like 17 years is you want to look back at the photographs from 17 years ago.
These were just missing me that first year, and then it's the next year then after.
We were just waiting for you to finish college.
But talking about like the responsibility of having a business, obviously Jill and I, our husband and wife, our daughter in the company, we've worked with us even way back since the year 2000. But how did that pressure and responsibility feel on different angles? Obviously us being husband and wife, daughter,
I was
best
still
friend,
talking
business
about
partner.
the start or just as it's evolved.
I'm just generalising, just saying, like, how did it feel back then? Like, we were going into our second business kind of venture at that point, but what pressure did we feel? What pressure did we feel within the family unit? And then obviously Lynne being part of that, like, very much so. What was the different pressures, like, from your family background? Were they like all for it? You're starting a business. What was the kind of feeling like? If you remember anything, any of those moments, what did it feel like? What was the responsibility like back then?
Yeah, obviously, like, I'd worked with you guys for like kind of, what was that?
10 years?
10 years nearly. And then became part of the kind of founder team for 29 Studios. And I've always been the type of person just to work, and even part-time jobs when I was at college or just leaving school. Like, I felt as though I worked constantly like in different roles.
Still do.
Yeah. So work was always a thing for me. Just it kind of rolled off.
But then that's probably, we've talked about this before, that's probably a family trait of all of us. We've got parents who are hard workers. So you were always just put like the heads down, thumbs up kind of attitude to your work. And I think that involves the spirit of being an entrepreneur. It's just like you're constantly on, constantly thinking. But then what about yourself then? Obviously, you said you came into it as a
year later.
But
I think obviously I came into it very much from college, thinking I was just coming in of doing like running jobs, just helping out, and I had my head set on being in more of like the TV part and the TV industry. But that's kind of what you pick up from when you're in that college studying environment. But then obviously coming here to do those running jobs, to work with Lynne on them, I then realised like that's not what I want to do, and I didn't
put it off.
No, you brought me in. But then obviously from our perspective, then that was not a massive risk, but that's then the whole family is then dependent on this business. You know, it wasn't just like a lot of families is like one person in the family will run a business and others will have a job or whatever. But for us, it was then three people, the entire family was in that one business from the very beginning.
And I think when it is a family business, and I include then the four of us as that family business, it brings a lot of emotions. It's difficult then to be like in business. Sometimes you have to be direct and honest. But when you're that combination of family, it can also be very emotional.
Yeah.
And you're trying to separate those emotions from just your personal life and your family life as a business.
But if I can add in, I think that you and I had learned the rules of engagement of working together as a husband
Still
and wife.
Learning.
In the previous, in our previous entrepreneurial journey, but when we had 29 Studios, the point that Katelin's making is about when there's three of us in the business, when it's going great and everything's fantastic, then you get 3 times the benefit. But when you're going through difficult times, you get 3 times the hit.
Yeah.
And as a family business, that is really, really hard.
Yeah.
And also it's not just the emotional side of it and the actual physical work side of it. When you work in another company, you can go home, you can switch off and you can go and talk to your spouse, talk to your partner, and you switch off and you have a life. We don't have a life outside of business. It is business all the time. Yeah. And that's what I love business. And for me, I'm in my perfect work-life balance. But when you do have hard times, and in the start of a business, because we didn't start this with backing, we didn't start it with investment. We started it from hee-haw. Yeah. We really did. We started this business from standing still.
Do you think our American customers understand hee-haw? Like they'll be looking up like, what does hee-haw mean? But
what did they start? We started this business with hee-haw.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a privilege to actually have a family business, and it's a privilege to be able to work together, share the highs, share the lows, and be on that same mission. And it is, Mary Mickle said it to us as well, working in a family business is really hard. Yeah. And you've got so many different dynamics. We've got a husband and wife dynamic. I've got a mother and daughter dynamic. We've got a family dynamic. And we're very lucky that we all got on extremely well. But that is hard. I sometimes feel like the mother of the business. And then when there is sometimes a problem, it's me that has to fix it. I feel that and I own that. So
is it because we're slightly older?
Possibly, yeah.
I think it also adds, I think in the early days, not so much now, we've got a great team behind us as well, but I think in the early days, you're always looking for that honesty in business. And if you were just on your own setting up a business, you've always got that dilemma of like, who you're working with, how honest are they, how trustworthy are they? So I think the real advantage of having family around you at that point is you 100% trust each other. Yeah. So you can almost park that and you're all on the same mission. But as you say, things, whether it's the start of a business, it's tough. It can be any point in business it gets tough. It's not like at the start and then it all goes well. And I think that is the misconception. It's probably easier now, and we'll touch on the now kind of side of things, but it's easier now to set up a business. But it's still really difficult to maintain a business or grow a business. Yeah. And that's been the challenge for us over the years through all the challenges we've had, whether it's COVID and things like that. But I think when you've got the core of us being the family, you know that we're all coming from the same intention and the honesty. So I think that's a real benefit. It's another layer that you can add in if you're with someone in business that you can fully trust.
It's something we don't need to think about feel like it's not something we ever need to consider, is like being able to trust the people that are in it. Whereas other people, that is like one of the biggest things, but we can just take that out from the very beginning.
I think as well, we've all got complementary like
skills.
Skills, but also like we all got on with each other really well, and we've never really had any disagreements over the years. Like over 17 years, there's never been any kind of fallouts or arguments. Like we always kind of bat off each other and compliment each other.
Yeah, but I think we've also, it's because we've got, and it's evolved again, it's like clear roles. Obviously we're more on the creative side. You obviously switched sides, as you talked about. You came from the production side.
Went to the dark side.
Yeah, went more to the strategy side. And
you came to the light from the dark side.
That's why it's like creative versus strategy here. But I think that aligns as the business more as well, and it's connected the business better because we all have our own roles and responsibilities.
And I think as well, because we all have different like generations as well, I think that does play a part in it, and we all see it from different
That's why we're the mum and dad now of the business.
We do then see it from different perspectives, like decisions or things that are happening around us that we can all play off each other and be like, well, what do you think, and then hear everybody out.
So a question just to keep it kind of on track a little bit then is, if you could go back and meet yourselves on day one, what would surprise us most? If you could meet yourself back on day one, what would be the surprise?
I think it's probably how much we've learned as well. Like over the years, it's when you start a business, you don't realise how much hard work it actually is. Like from all aspects.
Do you think most people, like either your family or whatever, might think it was easier than what it was, or what was your kind of like family check?
I think so. I mean, we've not really got a lot of family members that have started their own business. So, I mean, I think a lot of my family didn't even realise I owned part of the company.
Well, like your son, was it Lewis?
Yeah, Lewis told his girlfriend's parents that I'm a graphic designer. Okay, that was just recently. So yeah, I think like you don't realise how much hard work it actually is, and how much time. It's not a 9-to-5 job, as Gillian says. You're on it all the time, like. And especially because we have got international clients as well. You have to be available for them at all times.
Yeah.
Which we are.
I think if I've like going back to that very first time of like, just say coming in here and I was working with you on, was it Homecoming Scotland? Yeah. I was just so set on like being in the creative side, learning that, all the tools, etc. So I think for me to then look at where I am now, I wouldn't believe that like what I now do in comparison to what I first started and what I truly believed I wanted to do, of like being in the TV world and doing all that. Like I probably wouldn't believe that I would have got to here in that 17 years.
What about you, Gillian?
Well, for me, I think that if I was to go back and speak to myself back then, I think the journey of the transition that's happened in the market from Web 1 to Web 2 to now being in Web 3, I probably wouldn't be surprised, because I don't even think we've scratched the surface yet, particularly where we're going with realities, AI, and how fast it is now changing. The one thing I'd probably surprise myself is the speed of change, that I hadn't anticipated how fast things move. When we first started in business and you would take on a new project or you would come up with a new innovation, you would have like 12, 18 months to evolve it, design it, think about it, implement it, do it. Whereas now it's like, here's an idea, let's run, and you've got 6 weeks and then you've been it if it's not working. So the speed of change and innovation, but I think that's actually been an advantage for us staying as a boutique agency, because we're agile and we've got the ability to be very, very flexible and embracing an idea, making it work. And if it doesn't work, we can flip, we can change. And I think, and going back to my younger self, thinking back to back then, we grew up in the transformation of technology. We existed in business before even internet, so we've seen the change. I know I'm showing my age, but we've seen the change, and I see it now, and I've probably never been as excited about business as I am right now. Do you remember then the business in the early days? It was obviously the one before, slightly before 29studios, but we had one computer in the background that had the dial-up internet, and it was the only computer
that had email, so we had to just check it every now and again.
Imagine that.
To see if there was an email come in. How much would you love that?
Yeah,
right now?
just for a wee week, just not to be able to be communicated.
I think that's probably the key. Like, obviously nowadays is like separating the noise, the signal and the noise, as they talk about. And there is so much noise in communications, and I suppose it's part of our job, as we'll touch in later in the conversation about how we kind of separate that and how we innovate that for our customers. But I probably contradict one question slightly, but I don't think I would probably be surprised if I look back on myself, because I think we always came at business as in how do we need to change. If you think even back in 2009, we were always looking at the next innovation. It wasn't as fast back then, as you said, but as a business, as a mentality to our business was always about what's next. Even back in 2009. Right now, we're still doing the same thing, but the what next thing is now like every week or every month. Is what's next. So I don't think, giving ourselves some credit, I don't think too much was changed in our mentality. Technology's changed, basically.
We're always trying to be one step ahead of everybody else.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
No.
Okay, I'll find another question about how do we protect the family while growing the business? How do we protect, and what is family first? We talk about in our business all the time, it's family first.
I'll start
and
with
it's
that
not
one.
just, us, because we've got a great team now as well. We always try and portray that across the team, like your family comes first.
Yeah,
because that's important.
If I can jump in on that one, family first, what that really means is your career and what you do and what your livelihood is important, and the company that you work with is really important. And whether you're working for a multinational or a small startup, it's what happens in your life that actually counts first. So family should always come first. So if anyone in our team, whether it's us in the team or anybody else in the team, has any family things that they need to deal with or need to take care of, whether that's children or whether it's elderly parents, family first. And that's what I always feel that we as a company has a big heart. We've always been very mindful to what makes people exist. And I think that's why family first, to me, it's not just about our family first. It's about everyone making sure that
family.
the extended family.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, we need to protect this family. Like, this family is us and our business, but then our extended families who connect to us. Like, this business supports all our teams, families. So it's not just this family. It's like everything we do is supporting, all our employees' families, their extended families. So it's a ripple effect. So it's like protecting one, the business as a family, and then protecting two is all the families that all connect to us as well.
And that's a big responsibility.
I was going to say that's the word responsibility comes out, and how we feel responsible. But as you grow a business, and we intend to grow even more this year, 29 Studios from a team point of view, it adds that more responsibility, and you feel that. Because
it's not just like we were saying earlier, a hit on the business is like all of us. So that's like 4, that's 2 full families, then extended families. But then you think of the livelihoods that follow on from that. So it's the responsibility of not just our family, but every single family that we look after, in a sense, with the business.
And you do hear of like all these opportunities in the market right now, not opportunities, all these disappointments where a lot of people are getting made redundant, a lot of people are getting paid off. Even, was it at some point this week, Oracle have laid off a significant amount of people at 6 a.m. by an email. I mean, how inhumane is that? Yes, lots of people, but there's different ways of dealing with that.
That's a lot of families.
I think
that's a lot of people.
There's an advantage to being in a big company, structure-wise, because you maybe do have that. You talked about go home, switch off. But then I think what's becoming more prevalent now is being part of a smaller boutique agency like us, because you're around people who then start to care about each other more. Yeah. So it's never even a concept in our head. If like the way you just said, the Oracle, it was just an email at 6 a.m. You're fired. Literally the words, you're fired, don't come back. That doesn't resonate with us, because we're so connected to everything in a business. And I suppose the downside of being a small business and anybody in the team, like, you do get to know each other, you get to know each other's moods and isms, and it then becomes like that family kind of unit, which I think nowadays with the culture we're moving into that's an advantage. I think having that, we call it boutique business, because we work and operate in enterprise level companies, world-class companies, but we still want to maintain our uniqueness, which is family, but unique.
But you, Bugslow, just made me realise, not right this minute, but I'm emphasising, that's why our customers like us, because we're not just a big corporate, we're not just a big corporate faceless agency that just services. We turn up and we care. And that's really important.
Because ultimately as well, like our customers have like, we're responsible for a lot of like their events. We're responsible for their marketing campaigns that make money, that bring in sales, that infect their employees, which ultimately is their families, their livelihood. So like we care about our team, but then our customers become an extension of our team because you do build relationships, you know their families, you know their kids, you get invited to weddings and, you know, so they then become part of our world and part of the people that we feel we need to protect.
So it goes back to we make that connection with the customer, don't we? And they feel part of what we do, and they can see deep down how much they care because they get that personal side of us.
Which gives them the confidence in us for both the work and the relationship.
Yeah, that will show up for them.
So that's like some good stuff. But as we all know, there's things like that go on and you start a business, and for anyone that's either looking to start a business or on that journey, we've had all this experience. We're still learning. That's my Ring doorbell, by the way, so I can't avoid that one. But we're still learning, still developing. But, you know, if you look back and as honest as we can be, what would you look back and say, that nearly broke us, but it actually made us stronger? Was there any events to give some clarity? Because we could sit here all day and talk about all the great times. There was times that we thought, that was tough.
Yeah.
You know, and there's some things I can think of, but over to you guys just now, if there's anything that comes to mind. I'll give you obviously COVID was one major event that could have destroyed our business.
Destroyed a lot of busises,
Made us stronger.
That's the question, Lynn. What made us stronger?
You're jumping ahead.
COVID made us stronger.
You're jumping ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I think COVID was something like in business. You always start business, I think, because you think I want to be in control of my own destiny. So you have an element of control. Obviously, everything can change quickly when you start your own business. But I think when COVID came along, it was that one thing that we felt like this is outside of our control. We can't. We were away at the point as well. We were in Spain and we couldn't fly home, and we couldn't. It was just that feeling of helplessness. In business, when you're an entrepreneur, you get challenges all the time, but you can sit down, take the impact, and then you think, but I'll find a way around this. I'll find another way. But when COVID hit, there was literally nothing we could do, as in whether it was travel, whatever. But again, being that entrepreneur, we found a way around things, not around COVID and broke rules, more just like how do we service our customers differently. But that is one thing that could have broke us, could have completely
But we were
broke us.
very lucky in the sense that most of our customers at that given time were in the manufacturing space. So they were still trading, albeit the teams that we were working with were all working remote, but they were still business as usual. So we managed to retain 99% of our customers all the way through COVID, albeit budgets did get cut, but we still retained that client base.
Yeah.
So,
but then there was the clients that had events organised that had to get cancelled.
We displaced it.
We helped them and brought that event online. There was two major
events. Yeah.
Both American technology companies.
Yeah. And nobody ever expected COVID to last that long. When we left here in the March, it was like you expected a couple of months. I always remember with the schools being told the schools are going to have to stop for a couple of months. You're like, it's never going to be that long. Well, it was almost a year.
If I
know you were more than a week.
In February, the month before it happened, who ordered all this hand sanitizer? Who ordered all the supplies?
You had a sideline of hand sanitizer.
But that day when we left office, we were all like putting it into jars.
It was the January when I was watching the media and thought, this is not going away.
That's the strategy side coming out.
Yeah, that was the strategy side. I was risk analysing. This is not going away, and this is going to be bigger than everyone's talking about. Yeah. And I was terrified about that. Absolutely terrified. Yeah. But luckily, we were very fortunate.
Any other moments then in business?
Yes, there was one massive
The COVID
moment.
Was a prompt, and everyone's got their story of COVID, but more like, what was the moments for us?
One that was a sliding doors moment was in 2016 when I had the car accident. And I was spiralling at 100 miles an hour, driving.
Not driving at 100 miles an hour.
No.
Spiraling.
No. I was spiralling at 100 miles an hour, trying to do too much. Yeah. We grew the team too big, too fast, and I was going at 100 miles an hour. And went out in the car one day to go to my sister's for the maternity hospital. She was having baby, and I was hit by an articulated lorry on the middle of the motorway, and that's absolutely changed my trajectory. not just for myself personally, but for the business. Because at that point in time, the revenue generation of the business was all on my shoulders. And for 6 months after that accident, I couldn't even stand in the street and hear cars, never mind get in a car and go and see a customer. So the impact that that had on our business for a good 18, 24 months was significant.
But what did you learn from that then?
What I learned from that was how dependent this family business was. This business was on my shoulders, that I had to delegate and remove myself from being the only revenue generator in the company.
So that is one event that
massive.
was outside of your control, because it wasn't your fault. Let's be clear on that. But it had an impact, and you say sliding doors moment, and how it changed the trajectory of our business as well. Anything you can think of, Katelin? That
No.
I'll give you another prompt, right? Slightly controversial. Then Gillian started this whole conversation. I'll be controversial. I think one of the biggest challenges for anyone listening that wants to start a business in the middle of a business is getting the right team. Is people.
Yeah.
I think it's been the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Getting clients, winning clients, it's our natural DNA to be creative. It's our natural DNA to be strategic. But you need to find the right people. You'll never grow your business properly until you find that right combination of team. And I think that's been the biggest challenge is people.
But I think also, whether this is controversial or not, I don't know. But the team, if it isn't going right, think they have the power to break this, but they don't. It's just noise. So like they think that if someone leaves or bad leaver or whatever, they think they hold that power of like the four of us, the business, the relationships, the customers, but they don't. They're just noise and it's insignificant. But like at the moment, it can feel like, oh my God, this is the worst thing that's happening. This person's left, they're doing this, they're saying this. But actually, when you step back from it, you go, it's just one person in a sea of
noise.
Hundreds of people in the world out there who have a disgruntled employee or who's saying something or who's doing that. So I think people think that would break a business, but it actually doesn't like scratch the surface. It actually makes you stronger.
When you then think of it from that perspective, it reflects back to the individual. It's on them.
It's like
I think just like to kind of encapsulate that a little bit, I think every business, I think anyone we've spoke to, so this isn't unique. It's just like every business goes through different, and people come and go for different reasons. So it's not like necessarily bad and negative people. It's just more you're constantly trying to look to get the best quality into your business. I've talked about it that at the point we're at in business that we need that elite team. Maybe a few years ago it was just bringing in task-driven people who then can develop into significant people in the office. But now I feel you need to get those significant people right now, because the task-driven stuff, as we'll touch on, is AI-driven now. So it's more important nowadays that if you're building a team, that they have to come with a certain level of senior kind of like background or skill set that want to constantly learn. And I think, so for us moving forward, even now, it's like we've got another new person starting next week. It's like they need to come wanting to learn and develop and learn and develop.
They have to hire the best. Because
sitting doing what you're doing, what you've done for the last 3-4 years will be irrelevant in the next 6 months. So it's constantly learning. But so I'm just to point out, I think it'll be a constant thing. But your point being, like when someone does leave, whether it's good or bad, you always feel like, oh my God, like it's so significant. But you just move on. You just keep.
As Gillian said as well, the reliability of one person. You can't have that. We've learned from that. So you need that backup.
Everyone needs to be back. Like all four of us need to be backed up. And we always say that, like all four of us can do everything, like not every single thing, but like we can do everything in strategy, you can do everything in creative, but that's why we're then building teams behind all of us, so that like obviously no more car accidents, but we can't have any one of us like be highly
so it's the opportunity, I suppose, for everyone to be like vital to this business, become vital to the business, and you've got a career for life, because this is our life's work. So this isn't something, obviously when you work for big companies that get bought over, even companies we work for just now are getting bought over, like the bigger organisations, then you are just a transactional number, like you said with Oracle. But for us, if you really become part of this, it can be your life's work, it can be your career, it can reward you handsomely. So, and
we're trying to bring in people that we can like work with, that we know is the best, so that we can feel like we can take that step back to do other things for the business. But for those people coming in, then they know that we're doing that because we think they're the best. We care about them, their families, the ripple effect that has, but we're bringing them in so that we can strengthen the business. So we can't bring in now anyone that we don't feel matches that. And that's why we have been then now in this last year so selective. We've went through so many interviews, we went through so many double interviews, to try and find the right people. And culturally and
with
also
a background that matches as well. And
then the skill, they need to bring that skill. They need to have done something that we're that brings another thing into our business.
And years ago, at one of the entrepreneurial things, one of the entrepreneurs in Scotland talked about you hire for attitude and train for skill. And I probably didn't really understand what that really meant. Mm-hmm. But now, at this stage in our business, the attitude is more important than the skill, because skill can be developed. Mm-hmm. Attitude, when you've got a bad attitude person, nothing you can do can change that. Yeah. But attitude, having the right attitude to join the team and want to be on this mission, that's the biggest part.
And it goes back to your point, if they've got the wrong attitude, it stands out a mile. When you're a small business,
you see it.
That culture stands out.
And we see it, we all, people, you come in and some people have a bad day or they'll be grumpy or whatever, but everyone, so they're having an off day, something's on their mind or whatever. But then if you just start to see that consistently, you see it rippling through the team, and that can feel like the end of the world sometimes. But it's when you're then a year later or a couple of days later, a month later, and you've took yourself out of that, you're like, it wasn't, it didn't break it didn't, we just have to stop it and move on, because ultimately we're protecting us and then everybody else's family who is all in. So it's the minute there's someone that's not all in, it's
change slightly. What are you most proud of that isn't revenue? Because obviously business, all the things we said about culture and people and things like that, so it's kind of moving on slightly from that, but what are you most proud of that isn't revenue, customers, or growth? What are you most proud of?
What I'm most proud of is the fact that I can get up every day and spend my day with my husband.
Oh, thanks.
And no, I'm not doing a total love you. And no, I'm not finished yet. You've interrupted. They do this all the time.
They pick on you.
I get to wake up.
This is Katelin and I's only moment.
I wake up every day and I get to do this with my husband. We are so ingrained in this business. We're on the same journey with the same passion. Then we come to work and we get to do it with Katelin as well. Yeah. That is such a privilege. And also get to do it with Lynne, because we work so well together. We have carved out a very unique management team. And that's what I'm the most proud of. Deals will come and go. Customers will come and go. I love every single customer, and you know that. I wrap everything around that customer because they entrust us with their goals, they entrust us with their money, they entrust us with their projects, and they are a top priority in my life. But the thing that I'm most proud of is that I get to do this and actually really love my job.
The fact that is true shines through to the customer, because if you weren't coming in and feeling that wouldn't filter through to
it would just be a job and they'd just be a customer.
And we get to do something different every day. No 2 days are the same in here.
You were trying to sort the Wi-Fi.
I went in and she was in up a ladder.
But no 2 days are ever the same. You're never working on the same, even if it is a similar project, it's always different.
Yeah. I think mine now seems a bit materialistic given that answer, but I think for me it's being able to travel and go to places that we probably wouldn't go to, but then being able to do that with family, and obviously my mum and dad, but I consider Lynne like family, so being able to do all of that together, most people don't. If you're going away with your family, it's once a year I'll go away with my family, but 9 times out of 10 every business trip we do, all 4 of us do it together. And I think for me then it's, yes, we're going there for a specific job or doing something, but it's places that I probably wouldn't go on a personal trip, and probably take more business trips of the year than I do personally. But being able to spend that time together, and then obviously at the end of this month, we're all going to Rome for an event, but being able to then after that, us and our partners, so the 6 of us are all getting to take a couple of days just to mark the occasion of being 17 and enjoy it together. So I think it's all those things that people say morbid, but when you're on your deathbed you remember all the things, the travelling, the moments, the late nights, the early nights, we'll forget all the stress of...
But you never take time to do that. You never take time for yourself.
We just usually fly in, we fly out, and maybe we get one day here or there. So it is unique that at the end of this month, we're going to take like 4 days together.
And as I said at the start, we always bypass April and go, oh, it was our birthday,
Yeah.
and we forget. So this is the first year, probably in 17
Yeah, because we
years.
incorporated and it was the Queen's birthday. We didn't even realise that.
21st.
I know, that's how I always check it. Yeah.
Didn't realise that.
Yeah, so probably travel for me is like being able to do that, and but then share that again to our families, like my husband getting to come along, Gary coming along, like, and the kids have came along on trips as well. So that's a privilege to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I think just come back to, so we don't get too emotional here, Gillian, but as a husband and wife, I think that's what people maybe look at and go, that should be a big challenge, and it is. But I think, with all respect to us, we've worked it out over the years. They'll laugh because we do have our wee moments in the office, and I can feel it.
Mediators.
Right? I can feel
in the
it.
middle.
And I think even yesterday, Kayla goes, "You're turned into Gran and Pappy," like, and I'll say that on camera, and I wouldn't be more prouder to turn into Gran and Pappy. But I think your mum and dad, through working, living together 24/7, I think we do. I think
It's
we
a
do.
lot,
I think we do all right. So I think little moments of, but we never carry it. It's never became
we don't want to switch
a
off.
thing. But I think it's just part of. But going back to the honesty, if you weren't my wife and we had those things in the office, that could linger and that could change dynamics. But because we know we're both coming from it at the same with the same purpose, I think that's the advantage. So I think I'm most proud of that. Initially, we had to build that solid family dynamic between the four of us, and hopefully across the team, we're starting to ripple effect that. That's the first thing we care about. So going back to that family first, it's the first thing we care about. That's the priority of our business. And that the clients then feel that, because it almost extends into our customer experience.
Yeah. But even like the other week, was that the other month there, and we all went to the ice hockey, like our team brought partners as well, because they're part of our team, like it's their livelihoods as well. So, you know, it's nice when we can do that and we can all celebrate and do things together. So it's trying to include everybody involved in the business.
And we try and do that every month, to take time out from work and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, do something.
That's the one thing I really struggle with.
Yeah, you do.
I really struggle
She's
with.
got phobia.
I get phobia, fear of being included. I really do struggle with taking that time to do non-work things.
Yeah, but that's Lynne, we went
But
back
it is
to
a
like
work thing.
the generation thing and how we all play a part. It's like we see that's so important to go do that, but then you're obviously so focused on the business,
Growth,
the revenue growth.
strategy.
So any spare time, you're like, I would rather be doing
I
that.
thought of anything worse than going to the hockey, because Jilly's not a sports
I'm not.
person.
I would rather do a spreadsheet.
I was going to say that you
Actually,
spreadsheet
Can
it
we
all.
have a spreadsheet night? A team spreadsheet night?
But it is important to all take
that
time
night.
out.
But that's why we work so well, because we all have very different.
And we all need
things.
to pull each other in to be like, you're coming to the ice hockey.
Yeah. So we try and divert that challenge to the team every month or 6 weeks. Pick a restaurant, pick somewhere we go.
Which is hard.
It just keeps us all a bit connected. Okay, what's something that we've said no to that's helped define us? You think of, because I think it's important. Like, there's so many things in business and the approach to business. It's like, say yes to everything, and maybe that's true in the first early years. You're trying to define yourself and who you are and what you're known for, but as we are now 17 years old as a business, is there something you remember back and go, we said no to that, and it actually was a lesson that was a good thing?
I've got one.
Yeah.
Without saying too much, we were once told to fold the business, and we said no.
In the early days of...
It was about 10, 12 years ago.
It was when I had the accident.
And we said no, because we can do it, and we've proved them wrong. We're here.
That's actually
Stronger.
a really, really good analogy, because I remember that, and I remember walking along Buchanan Street.
We got the accountant in.
It was the accountant.
It wasn't one of us going, we should fold.
No, not our current accountants, but the previous accountants. And they were great guys. He was really a great guy. And he said, I think you really should
But
just
to
wind
them,
this
it's
up."
black and white.
Yeah,
It was black and white.
Uh-huh.
We had 6 months of a nosedive in sales. And he said, you can't trade through this. And we stood at the corner of Buchanan Street, and I said, we will trade through this. No matter what, we will get through this. And we went through that.
Give me goosebumps.
I'm getting goosebumps. And we paid every single penny that was due. And we came out the back of it, and we're now a very profitable business.
I think
that was a really good one, Lynn.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's not something like significant to say it was that exact moment, but something whenever I'm presenting to customers or telling them about who we are, like as a 29ers, I always say we are 100% family owned. You know, there's no investors, there's no anything in this, not anything in this business. It's us. So like we make all the decisions. And something I always say when I'm talking to customers is like, we don't take projects on that we don't align with or that our customers' values don't match. So there had, I'm also not going to pick them out, but there has been occasions over the last 17 years where we've said no to projects, and some of them have then been significant money or they've been a significant name or brand, but we've said no for lots of reasons. But then we always find that then it actually then opens a door for something else. But we can only do that because ultimately we've always said no to taking on anybody else into this business, and we've kept it as us for the whole 17 years. So like there's not then been one significant part that, you know, keeping it within us for has enabled us to say no. Like we can say no to things we don't want to do.
Yeah.
And on that point, you're absolutely right. We could have easily went into the market and brought in investors at that point of the accident because we had a great client base, but we were at a point that the cash was really difficult. And we didn't bring in investors. And there's been numerous times where even mentors and other entrepreneurs that have valued their opinion, where we've went for lunch and they've said, you know, you should be bigger than what you are and you should be pushing yourself. You should be taking on investment. Why? And we said no. And right now we're at the strongest point where we're profitable, we're growing, we're expanding, we're innovating. Yeah. We are working with the world's best customers who absolutely love us and we love them. Why would we do that?
I think it's
not that we would say no always, because there might be a time in the future, but right now, and looking back, saying no, I'm so glad we did, because if we had brought in investors in the difficult times, can you imagine what that would have been like? That would have been very challenging.
Changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah. But I think that goes back to what you were talking about with COVID, and that was the first time, like, when you run a business, you're in control of that. You want to earn more money, we make more money. We want to do this, we want to go there, then we do it. And COVID was obviously the first time that it didn't matter what we wanted, nothing could happen. And I think that's like back to us being, you know, complete owners of the business. Anything that we do is our decision. Yeah. Whether it's a good thing, a bad thing, we'll all stand by it. But we all know that if we want to change this business, if we want to grow this business, it's down to us to make that decision.
I think the word choice, the power, people underestimate the power of choice. Yeah. Every day you choose what you want to do or not to do. Yeah. Deeply, if you think about it deeply, it's your decision. Whether you come to work, not come to work. What you put in the effort to, what you want to learn. If you want to learn something, you go learn it. I talk to Gillian and she'll say, got all these things I still need to do. And I go, well, obviously wasn't a priority. Yeah. Because if you make, every day you make something a priority in your day, your life, your work. And if those things don't get done at the end of the day, it's simply because it wasn't your priority. So you shouldn't beat yourself up, I never got them done. It's then looking at those things that never got done and go, could I figure out another way of getting them done by someone else who's better? Because I'm obviously pushing them back. So it's about choice, the power of choice. And when you start your own business, you have got that choice every single day. We make decisions and choices every single day. COVID took that away from us. And that was probably the most uncomfortable time in business for me. But it was actually our strongest time.
Yeah, we came out of it stronger.
But it was just more like, we're so used to being together. Obviously, we're now all more accustomed. We still work 4 days in the office. I'd like to make it 5.
3.
That's the team player. I'm the team player. But before COVID, it wasn't a thing. Like, you worked remote, like in our type of business, but it became that thing for 2-3 years, and I desperately missed the office environment. And I think that's just the choice. That's the bit that was taken away from me, is the choice to be at work. We still done the work, but it was just being around people.
Yeah. It was the birth of video relationships, wasn't it?
But do you know the power of that now? The power, we were talking to some people earlier, and it's brilliant. We've all got this technology, but I think what people are going to crave more and more over the coming months is those, when I say events, it's not 1,000 people events. This is an event. Right now we're doing a little event for the 4 of us that we don't ever sit down and do. But how valuable is this that we're taking the time to do that? So I think that will become more important, and we can be the heartbeat of innovation for our customers to. So when I say events, 4 people events, 400 people events, 4,000 people events. But as people getting together is going to be really more, I think, critical and valuable over the coming years. So, okay, apart from your son Lewis, who is still trying to figure out what you do, what do you think people see us as? What if they think of the 29ers? What's the conception of that's what they do. And then what would you like to kind of maybe tell them?
I would like to think they see us as a design and technology company. And I would like to think that they see us as a company who has the customer at the centre of everything we do, very customer centric, and we support them with their go-to-market strategies, we support them with their content creation, their realities innovation programs, the event set up, and also anything that the customer needs to help them succeed from a communication and a marketing and a technology perspective, whether it's a big complex problem that they need to solve. That's where our customers come to us and help them.
You've touched on just what I think is the most important part is the complex thing. You say it a lot, but I was hoping you would say
complex to simple.
Complex made simple is what we do. In the complex world that we're now evolving through, we simplify it for the customers.
I think for me, like my goal of with our customers and what they think of us and what they see of us is that they think we're an extension to their team. Like that's always our goal, and that's you know, from like obviously I'm more on like the strategy side, so the project management side, the sales side, etc. I want our customers to feel like they can pick up the phone and be like, I need this, like I'm in a position, this has happened, and they know that we'll move everything possible to achieve that for them. So no matter what that is, and sometimes they'll come to us with things that we hadn't even planned to do, but they just know that they can have that conversation and they can reach out. And even if we can't do it, we'll find someone that can. So above, like, obviously what they know we do in terms of like content, marketing, realities, events, I want them to know that they can call us at any point and we will help find a solution.
Because of the client
and we will help find a solution to a complex problem or a simple problem that they just can't see the answer to. So for me, that's always the goal, like, to know that our customers can feel that. And I think they do, because they do rely on us for a lot of things that are sometimes out with what we are contracted to do. But that's how you build relationships, and then that's how then they call you in their time of need, and then it just develops after that.
And that's where trust and relationships is the core
show up
of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember even not Christmas year, but the previous Christmas, Caitlin and Stacey had it on Christmas Eve as we were getting ready to leave the office, and said, right, we'll do a check in the morning to make sure this is on par. And I said, girls, tomorrow is Christmas Day. You don't need to check in on the project.
We're on a deadline.
But you were on a deadline. That's how you go the extra mile.
Yeah, because and again, that goes back to the point of we care, because we know that has to be delivered when we come back. So it's, you could just walk out on Christmas Eve and be like, right, we'll deal with that when we come back. But it's like, no, the knock-on effect that puts the stress on them, that puts the stress on that event going ahead. So it's like, we do whatever it takes to make sure that it's going to happen.
Okay. What part of business still excites you the most today? So moving through now, we're into kind of more like the sort of now and the momentum
technology.
Of we're moving.
I think the learning.
The speed of technology, we haven't even scratched the surface on the innovation that's happening. Even when you think, I was studying blockchain a couple of years back during pandemic.
That's 6 years back now, John.
Wow, I know. But when I did the blockchain strategy programme at Oxford University, then I thought, wow, this is about to take off. That's still embryonic. Businesses haven't yet adopted it. Metaverse, that hasn't yet even really exploded yet. That will explode, and I cannot wait. That is the most exciting part. And with the advent of all the AI workflow efficiencies, with AR and VR and immersive technologies, it is like, wow, my only regret is that I am not just starting my career. Because to be able to start my career now with all these tools at your fingertips.
We've still got a bit of time left.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that, but
right,
something to tell us. I started my career when I was, 17?
Well, our
17.
first business was 29.
And I stockbrokers. So I started my career in the financial markets. And what I have done and learned throughout the years, I'm now 57, and I've still got another 10 years of really cutting it and hustling it and making this a success, because I love it. I love business, and I probably will never ever retire. But right now, the speed of technology and the change that's happening, to be able to be given projects from world-class organisations to solve using these tools, that is wow.
So passionate. I love
that
it.
is like, wow.
Caitlin?
Probably for me, there's two of the first one being like a solution sell. So when a customer comes to us with, this is my end goal, and working with them to try and understand that, first of all, understand their world, come up with a solution that fits, sell it, negotiate it, close it, and then pass it in. That does give me a kick, because it's like problem solving. You're trying to figure out how this will work for them, and you like, I feel like I'm a bit of a control freak, so I think of everything that could possibly happen with that. But then second to that, which I think is really connected, is events, because it's the same theory. It's the same thing of like, there's a problem. The problem is this event needs to happen on this date, and we need to work back the way from that. So like, I would say I probably get more kick out of the event side, but I think they do both run like quite similar. And for me, I love that you know, there's a deadline, and I work better under pressure. If there's no deadline on something, I'm like, oh, I'll get to it. But if I knew that needs to be done tomorrow, then I would stay up all night to get it done. And that's the same, I feel like, with sales, because we need to get that closed. We're trying to meet targets, etc. But then obviously from an event perspective, I don't want to let our customer down. I don't want to let our team down. Everything needs to happen, and there's no going back from it. Like that happens with or without us. So probably for me, like both of them would run side by side.
Okay. Lynn?
I think for me it's learning. Like obviously AI is a big thing worldwide just now, but for our industry it's huge. It's not like something different's coming out every day, it's every hour. Mm-hmm. There's an update, and like we're constantly messaging each other, even like night, weekends, like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Everything's evolving so fast.
Ping, 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 ping every night.
That was last night.
Yeah.
But let me challenge you slightly on that. When you say the whole world's AI, I think we've got quite a unique advantage right now. We were talking about this earlier, so I think there is the buzz of AI. We joke about the big red button, you press it and everything works.
It just works.
But there's actually still a lot of development going on, even internally for us with AI, and the connections of all the apps and language models and all the tools that we're having to figure out. So I think that's exciting me, and I know obviously we've talked about this, so I don't think everyone's on that journey
not
just now.
everybody's embracing it,
so that's the advantage I think we've got, but it's just it's frightening how fast
it's huge. Every day's a school day.
Yeah, but see, when you talk about like AI, I always think of AI in three layers. You've got the makers of AI who make the language models. You've got the creators of AI who are creating with it where we fit, and you've got the users. It's all the users that are now just playing with it, are working in large corporate companies and are being told to use Copilot, and they're using Copilot because I've been told to use Copilot, not because it's going to add significant value to them. So when you think of AI, we as an agency are doing all three, and we're looking at how do we interweave that. So to be a small Scottish boutique company working internationally with all these incredible clients and bringing that mindset, that's what we've done differently. It's a mindset shift that we've created.
I think when we started 29 Studios, as we very first said, it was about building content. We created content. Now, content is content. It shifts over the years on the tools you use to build that content. But I think recently we started to talk about how do we build more content systems that our customers can access and use, so that we're taking the complexity away from the customer of all the different AI tools, all the different tools that we use across the board, that they don't have to think about that. They use our system to develop their decks, their presentations, their events. Because I think you touched on like how events is the exciting part for you, but obviously lots of companies can run events, but we do run it differently now, and we're trying to bring technology to those events so that you have to stand out. The whole point of, when I'm talking larger scale events, we tend to do more private events for customers, so it's not the exhibition space, but we do cut across all of it. Yeah. But we're always, whether it's for exhibition space or private events, we're trying to make it unique with the type of content we bring and the content system.
And you're right, and on the exhibition side, whether it is a large scale, massive exhibition, you've done these in your sleep, right down to the small, intimate.
Sleep. I don't sleep.
That's right down to the small, intimate event. It's not about what the actual event takes place. It's about the KPI that you're going to measure out of that,
and the customer's experience with you. And that, we're obviously working on a lot of like trade shows, congresses, exhibitions just now, right down to your VIP events, which is 100 people to one of them that we're looking at 30,000 people. So there's like that big massive swing, but ultimately they're all about what's our customers' experience of their brand, and then what is our customer going to get at the end of it as an ROI. So whether it's like 100 people sitting in a room to 30,000 people passing by your stand, it's still the same. The outcome's still the same.
Because generally our customer isn't the end user.
No.
It's their customer.
And then sometimes it's our customer's customer that's actually the end user.
That's slightly, let's try to work that out.
Customer. Yeah.
So again, from an entrepreneurship point of view and a scalability point of view, the purpose of business, for customer experience, but from a financial point of the business is about scale. Are we building a business that depends on us too much?
Not now.
Right.
Not now. I think that's been a massive shift in the last 4 years. Since pandemic, I think our absolute laser focus has been on two things: the transition and change of technology and building a business of intention. And our business of intention is now 3 years in this transitional change, and we're now starting to really get the fruits of that shift. We made a massive commitment, went out to Miami, we did some really deep corporate training with some of the best corporate minds in America. And at that point in time, we thought, are we wasting money? Are we ready for this?
We probably
were nervous about it.
It's probably didn't fully we understood it at the time. Well, we had a level of understanding what we were learning at the time, but it's now looking back. It's like everything we go, we're actually doing that now. We're putting it into practice. When we came back, I think we tried to force it. Like the learnings we had, we tried to force the scalability of, right, we need to scale this quick. But we didn't have the systems, the foundations in the business to do that. And
we've spent 2 years building foundations.
And I think it's now we can go, we're actually doing what we learned, and you're kind of doing it naturally now. So,
and we're seeing it in the accounts, we're seeing it in the team, we're seeing it in the clients, we're seeing it in the projects. It's been a massive difference to create a business with intention that doesn't need to rely on the four of us.
I think that's it's a really hard thing to achieve, and I think we are moving towards that, but it's a big swing of being, it's our business, we want to remain in control of that. You feel the pressure of, like we said earlier, everyone's livelihoods. So then when you swing it to trying to take that step up, that the day-to-day things that really matter aren't getting made by us, those decisions aren't getting made by us, the conversations with the customers aren't getting made by us, that's really hard to let go of. And I think we're nearly there, but it's probably trying to balance the wanting to be involved, but for the growth of the business we can't.
And that's
be
my biggest weakness, is stepping back.
You're
I'm doing
the
better.
last person that's moved into the.
I'm doing better.
Is it scaling?
It's so hard. It's so hard, but we know that we're doing it for us. We're doing it for scaling the business.
But then even you used the word control there, Katelin, and yes, you're right. You sometimes think that you know best, you'll be able to drive the project, you're the one that's going to have to write the strategy. And I'm not meaning you as in you talk about yourself. And I do it. I think, no, I'll need to run this strategy. The client will need me. The client will expect me. And that is a control aspect. But there's another level of control. And the other level of control is that we 100% own and control this business. That doesn't mean we need to work in the business every God-given hour.
Yeah, but I think
and that's the mind shift.
Yeah, but I think like what you said there about control, we feel like we need to have that control because ultimately we have the responsibility. Yeah. So like ultimately we all, no matter what, like all of us will feel the sole responsibility of the business between the four of us. So that's where it's hard to let go of the control, because you think, well, ultimately I'm responsible for that. So that's where you then struggle to let go of it, because you feel like it comes back to you, although we're a team and everyone plays a part in it, you still feel it.
So that's where developing a team that we can duplicate that skill set to a team member who can take that on, and you've got trust and confidence in them to be able to do it.
I think we are there. It's just all of us are the.
I think we'll always be there, but there's always more to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest difficulty is letting go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You said that I've done it quite a while ago. Like I used to be more hands-on doing the tools. I've been fortunate to work with Lynne for over 20 years, that we've kind of worked together, and our DNA probably in a creative sense has rubbed off on each other, that I can trust. I've trusted you for the last probably 10 years to make all the decisions from a day-to-day creative, and that's your next step. But it then presents for you to let go.
Yeah.
But I think, and it's just happened and now, But I think just for the opportunity then for a team, although this purpose of today is about us starting this little business and family, it's really important now that we said the attitude of the team, we hire the right people with the right attitude, because if they've got the right attitude, they'll want to be part of this because they see an opportunity to almost feel like they own the business with us. And I think that's the next group of people that we're building now, is to have that right attitude, to think there's so much more I could do here. It isn't just a job. And that's what we're trying to avoid. We've had in the past people just come in, see it as a job and leave. But if people truly want to build a career and develop something, there's a huge opportunity here because we do need to let go. And if we can let go, we scale the business, which ultimately affects every single person. This is the husband and wife part. I can mute you. That's our responsibility now. That's what we're responsible. It's not responsible to make sure the PowerPoint goes out or the deck goes out or the VR demo goes out. Our responsibility to everyone now, it's really important, is to build this business, to give everyone another layer of security on their job so that they can come in every day and be the most creative they can be, the most strategic they can be. So the more we hang on, the more we're suffocating our own business.
So what I'd like to add into that complements what you've just said is it's about our responsibility now is to be clear on the mission and clear on the vision, so that everyone can be on board with that same goal, that we're driving this for all of our careers. That's the part I would add.
I think it is like just what you said. We're suffocating the business by not holding on. And just sometimes you think like, I wouldn't do it that way, I wouldn't do it. But it's trying to get to the point where you're like, that's just another way. And we have to trust, and that's why we said we have to be very particular of who we bring in, because we have to trust that we're bringing in people that will make the right decisions, make smart decisions. But ultimately, like, we want this like team that we're growing to basically step in right behind all of us to do the roles that we're all doing right now to enable us to then grow the business, but
bring in team members behind them
that they trust.
So when you have we talk about events a lot, and because it's deadline driven, it's that sense of urgency. I think the more we can bring that into the day-to-day element of our business, the sense of urgency, the sense of deadline. It's easy to just say, we've got deadlines, but we know how you can shift things internally. But if we can create strong deadline driven objectives and events inside our business, it helps us scale quicker. So my question then is, if you had to 10x your business, which we want to do, 10x our business in the next 3 years, what would you stop doing right now?
It's easy for me. I need to stop being hands-on and allow the team to grow so that we can then progress the company to the next level and the next lot of AI tools and
Well, your role is creative director, isn't it? So it's like the more you're on your computer doing the work, the less effective you're actually being. You're helping out. You're being such a valuable part of our business, obviously, but you're suffocating your own energy and you're suffocating the business by on the tools every day. And you're not allowing anyone else to then try and grow into that role and become you and become part of the other team. So what about you guys? What would you stop if you said, well, we have to 10x this in 3 years? That's the target.
I don't know if it's something we'll want to say, but I'm like right now across too many parts of the business. So like I can't like
a big dependence on you.
So I can't just pick sales and run with it for the next 3 years. Do you know, I'm still heavily involved in projects, heavily involved in marketing.
Because you love
heavily
that side.
No, I know, and I'm the problem. And heavily involved in sales. So to 10x our business, we need to go all in on, like, I need to go all in on one of them. But right now I'm trying to, like we just went back and said, bring in the people behind me that enable me to do that. And I'm there with like our events and projects, and I have a really solid team who support from projects to content. But it's then our marketing, sales, you know, it's the letting go part again, to be able to go all in on one of them rather than split across all three.
Okay. Slight prediction time. Okay. If you were to look at our business in 2 years' time, so maybe a little clip for 2 years' time. If you were to look at our business in 2 years' time, what do you think will look completely different to what we're doing now? And I know we're on the I think we're just at the starting point of everything that we're doing from an AI perspective. So I'm not saying you can't talk about AI, but I'm just meaning like, how do you think our business will be completely different in 2 years?
I think from my side, we do a lot of events right now. But I think with the way, like we were talking about earlier, the way the world's changing to those being so much more important to businesses, whether it's internal, whether it's external, VIP events, big events for the industry, I think we'll see a massive shift. Right now, we are quite split across events and content. And I think we're going to see, we have in the last year, we've seen a massive shift to a lot more events coming to us. And I think in the next 2 years, we'll probably see a bigger swing.
Why do you think that is?
For the demand of that in-person connection, but it being like a set experience that's controlled by a company, controlled by an environment. And right now, like with AI and things developing, content is becoming easier, quicker. Levels are different levels are being accepted by customer. Like different levels of content are being accepted. But what will, it's like the weddings of business. Events will always happen. They always have to be the biggest in the room, the best in the room. They have to control that. So businesses will always need that, something AI can't take away right now. Yeah. So I think for us, we'll see a bigger swing to that, which obviously excites me from like what I'm interested in. But then it's how we bring faster content to that, faster experience, how we bring realities to that, how we make them stand out, the marketing of it. So our services will still be there, but I think we might start to see a shift in balance to events taking the majority.
I think it's going to be hard to predict as well, like what's going to happen in a couple of months, never mind a couple of years. Like, to think back 2 years ago, who would have thought the industry would be where it is just now? Like, we're talking AR, VR. That was never brought up a couple of years ago. That was for gaming. It wasn't for doing like corporate events. Training, it wasn't for showing products, training. So I think it's hard to predict like where we're going to be in a couple of months. Never mind years.
My prediction would be that I think that within the next 3 years, you're going to see a new model of what agency looks like. We're going to have a more decentralised, and we're going to have more content system structures. And that's what we've already started building. Yep. We've got a new model that we're creating. We are in the process of really building out a workflow efficiency. We're building out a content system that makes it smarter, quicker, faster for our customers. But how I think that we will see that, we don't want to go and do what most agencies will do and say, right, let's just throw loads of heads at this, let's just build this for loads of people. I think we will build this in the most efficient way possible by using AI at the task-driven level, not the creative thinking level. And when we keep the value at the creative thinking level and then look at a decentralised model, I think we could truly grow to a business of scale in a global sense.
Brilliant answer. And I think going back to the point of events, we've talked a lot about events today. But I think for me, like maybe 2 years' time, we obviously be doing a lot more events. But I think the benefit of our type of event is the experience we bring, but then more importantly, how we'll make people feel at that event. Because whether that's personal or professional, it's how you feel creates that memory. And to create that memory even more, if you think of events even now, if we just talk about exhibition type events, whatever, they tend to all be the same. And they tend to be just repetitive in its nature. What we're trying to bring, and what I think will bring more in the next 2 years, is the virtual reality experience. Now that seems a little bit, not a long shot just now, but people are still not quite comfortable with it. It'll become more and more comfortable. Doctors. And I think one big advantage to the organisations that we work for, when they do go to large scale events, they have to take a lot of equipment. You know, that equipment can be small, large, whatever, generally big, large pieces of equipment and expensive. And then from a sustainability messaging point of view, we can virtually produce that on a headset that's interactive. So I think that we'll do a lot more demo type environments at exhibitions that transport people to a lab to interact with things, that then provides them with a sustainability message as well. But I think more and more, the thing that excites me is the journey we'll go on from an experience-led point of view, but creating memories for our customers who genuinely go to events, who will feel something there. I think we'd all go to those events over the years. You come back with the pens and all that kind of thing, and the notepads, but realistically, you go there for connections and people. You go there to meet people, but when you're meeting those people, you want to create a real experience that can transport them anywhere in the world using the technologies I think that we're developing just now as well. So that's 2 years' time. Starting to wrap up now, our little conversation, so kind of more personal reflection then. What does this journey that we've been on for the last 17 years mean to you personally? Anyone?
It's for life, isn't it? Like, everything we do goes into this. Everything we say 24/7 is for 29 Studios.
Oh, these two quiet.
I don't know.
It's more than a business.
I think
or you go first.
I think we all, and whether that's right or wrong, we all see like 29 Studios as like sitting in there in the middle of us. Like, it's a thing. And I know people say like you shouldn't think of it like that, but it is. So like we do everything we can to protect that, and whether that's we're all up late talking about it, we're all away together, we're all traveling together, we're all doing it with the sole purpose of protecting this thing. Yeah. And I think ultimately that thing is like this family, that thing is like our families, that thing is our livelihoods, the flexibility that we have in our life, like the privilege of being able to do it all together. But ultimately it's all about just protecting this thing in the middle.
Yeah. I think it's just a cliche word, but it's just journey. I think like if you look back 17 years, we'd have probably said there's so many points in this business. Like, if we get to that point, we'll be happy.
It's never enough.
If we get to this point, we've made it.
You always say that new point.
It's probably a question entrepreneurs will say is like, when did you feel you've made it? I think if you're true entrepreneurial, you never make it.
Yeah.
There's moments along the way, but you just set another target. You set another target.
You get to the top of the hill and then you see a bigger hill.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's just the journey. We've talked about the trips we've done, the journeys we've been on, the memories we've made, what we'll look back on over the years, the connections we've made with customers. But it's just the journey. I don't know where the end point is. It isn't a number. It isn't a value of money. It's just more experiences. And I'd love to think that we're not even started the experience we're going to have, even though it's 17 years. I want to share that experience with the current team and develop those memories. I think that's what you build when you talked about on your deathbed. You think of the memories. You don't want to look back and regret anything. I think that as an entrepreneur, don't regret anything. Try things. If it doesn't work, because we're 100% on the owners of the business, we can always try things. And if we tell the team like this is what we're going for, and then 2 months later, 6 months later, it doesn't quite work, well, let's just go back and do what we've done before. Like, so it's just journey. I think journey.
It's a desire, to always want more and always want better. Because even like the end of that quarter there, we had a big target. We blew it out of the water, and we all just had one phone call 9 o'clock at night to go, we did it. And then the next day we all come in and we're like, right, what do? And we just moved on to, but what's the next? What's the next?
Brush it under the carpet.
But like that's just the way, and that's why we are where we are, is because we've all just, you make a target, you get it, you just move on really quickly, because we just, not that nothing's ever enough, but that's a positive, I think, that you just keep wanting to push forward.
I would like to think, since we're the elders in the four here, Gillian, that we've put a lot of things into this kind of relationship from what we had experiences before. And you talk about, you just move on. Like we've talked about this a couple of times. I think you know what I'm going to talk about.
With David Molesdale.
See, we're so like, probably again, you only think back and go, I learned so much from David Molesdale, who owns Optical Express. And at the time, won't tell you the whole story, but because it's just a long story, but he hired us for various things. We ended up taking over his whole office and bought out his office, and he became our first investor way back, the owner of Optical Express. But we done, one of the trigger things for him is he came to us and said, I'm going in for a World Young Business Achiever Award globally. And we'd done the presentation. At that point, it was a box with glasses in it and contacts and all that. And you were there.
I was 26 years
old. And we built this box, and we were like, oh, he needs to win. We felt so, even then, if you think back, we were so emotionally charged that he was to win this, be the World Young Business Achiever. And we found out a couple of days later, I think it was Orlando, it was the actual thing was in. And he called us and said, I won it. And we were like going mental, like, whoa, let's celebrate. And he was like, nah, let's move on. We're on to the next thing. And he made nothing of it. And we were more excited than him. And we couldn't work that out.
And we met him the next week in the office, like a week later. And we were like, that was brilliant, David. And he was like, oh, that's last week's news.
Move on. And
it was the mindset of just move
and it's only
on.
when Katelin's saying that, it probably just triggered, a little wee memory ball come back.
Yeah.
Went, maybe that's where we got that from.
Yeah.
And you didn't know you were learning at the time. And I think then we've all got that in each other. And hopefully that kind of can pass on to the team that have then the way you want customers to be treated, that you can pass that on the way you want creative to be respected, even through the AI transition. You still want the creative taste and decision making to be the respect that you have for it to the rest of the
But
team.
it's the same of like good things happening. We need to just move on. But bad things happen, and
you need to move on.
You need to move on from it, and that's obviously we feel that like obviously more in the sales side of it. But you don't win every deal. But you can't. You have to go right. Okay, we've not won it. Why did we not win it? Move on.
Could we have done anything different?
And you just have to do that. But it's the same from a good thing happening, a bad thing happening. We need. And I know it's sometimes you have like a bad day and you just are grumpy. But ultimately, you just have to let it like wash over you and just move on to the next thing, whether that's a bigger goal or a knockback or a setback, because it just suffocates us all if we just keep holding on to it. But we just need to move at speed, and that's where the benefit of all, it's like just us. We can have a loss, but we just go, right, we move on from it. We can have a win and go, right, we did it, move on. Like, it's just the four of us that need to feel that in terms of setting a bigger goal and just keep moving forward.
It's always what's next.
Yeah, what's next? The last question you there said, Kevin, was about, I never gave you my answer, where I feel, and I'm giving you my answer, where I feel we're at.
I forgot what the question wasn't it?
Right, yours, I can't remember the question, but I know I've got my answer.
I'm going to make it up.
Right, I'm going to make it up. Where I feel we're at right now is in a chapter. And this chapter, when you think of life and all the stages that you go through, right now we're in a chapter where we're going through massive transformation. In this period, we're 17 years, the first 7 years we were cutting our teeth, we were learning, we were innovating, we were changing, then with that big sliding doors moment. But this last 10 years, and more so since the pandemic, the last 6 years, we're now at a chapter that we're closing the door on something and we have opened a new chapter.
Do you think
and this new chapter, I think, is going to be the core defining chapter of 29's history.
So let me kind of wrap that up really nicely. Let me wrap this whole conversation up quite nicely then, as you talk about chapters and chapters relate to books.
Yeah.
And I would probably guess that when someone's writing a book, we've never wrote a book, but when you're writing a book, you create it in chapters. Do you always know at the end is how many chapters you have? I suppose it's life, isn't it? Getting very deep now. You don't know how many chapters you've got left. But in business, bring it a bit more lighthearted. In business, it's like that again. It's chapters.
Yeah.
What we're on 17. Let's just call it chapter 17 because we're 17 years. We don't know how many chapters this book will be. So I suppose that's the journey of entrepreneur. Back to the journey point. We're just on a journey of creating new chapters, and we've still got the energy and passion. Hopefully, that comes through today. That we still got that. We still got that.
And we believe
DNA.
in it. Yeah. And we all believe in it.
Yeah.
Like we don't know, like if we got another 10 chapters to go, another 4 chapters to go, but
in business, not life.
Yeah, obviously. But it's again, that's up to us, like to decide that, but also just to believe that we're all aligned and where we're going.
Maybe the analogy now is that we need some other people to write those chapters.
Yeah.
It needs to be the team that help us write those next chapters of our business. We've been so evolved this whole business, but it's critical now that the team start to write those chapters for us.
Yeah.
And we help with direction as best as we can, and our knowledge and experience, because sometimes it's overplayed and underplayed experience, but it's only when you get older you use that and knowledge. Without realising, like we talked with David Molesdale's story, you don't realise the effect it has. So our job now is to kind of get out the way and let the team write the next few chapters of our business on a day-to-day basis, looking at you. So any other final points we want to add to this 17th birthday reflection?
I'm looking forward to celebrating our 20th.
I know, that's
We'll get 3 years. We'll get 3 years.
So there you go, you've set another goal.
We have a growth strategy, and the reason I'm saying that is because I have been deep in growth strategy planning for the last couple of months. I have got solid plans. We've got projections, we've got customers, we've got contracts, we've got innovation coming out our ears. I cannot wait to see this next 36 months.
Yeah.
That's like 12 quarters. 12 quarters. We've just done first quarter and we've smashed it. So we've got 11 quarters left till we get to that goal.
I think everything happens for a reason and we can build our own destiny.
Yeah, we are where we are that's what was it you said about the universe? You're always a big believer in the...
Just trust the timing of your life. Like, just trust the timing of whatever's happening, good, bad.
Yeah.
We're all here because of good things that have happened, bad things that have happened. But then in 3 years' time, or when we get to 20 years, there'll be good things and bad things that happen that...
Do you know, Katelin bought me a diary, and you a diary 5 years ago. And it's just a little one-line diary that's a little book this size. And it was the nicest present you ever gave us. But oh my God, like I've never kept a diary. But it's just every night now for this is the 5th year I've wrote a line in. And the point of that being you gave up on it. But I've completed it. But the night I go in and I look back because the page has got the 5 years and I look back and it's dead easy in the moment to think this is the biggest problem we've ever got. Yeah. I don't write all negative, but I be honest in it, like what's happening. And there's a couple of times I look back and go, God, this is tough, the tough times. But the next year, like, I don't remember what that was. Like, unless I'm very descriptive in the line, go, what was I worrying about? Like, so things are so easily, you move on so easily, so don't worry too much in the moment.
Yeah.
Just keep moving forward. Yeah. And I think this is our 17th year. We're taking this time to celebrate it. I think you want to add in something else.
Yeah, just the universal statement I would like to add. You're exactly where you're supposed to be at this point in your life. No matter what you think, where you should be further, you should be living somewhere else, you should be in a different job, you're exactly where you're supposed to be at this moment in time. And it is so easy to forget that.
Well, my mum and dad told me something the other day. We'd done a little podcast with my mum and dad telling their life story. And it's something I didn't know when I had the chance to go to play for Ipswich football. And there was only like 16, 17 before I met mum. So you don't even know this. And obviously at the time, I had this chance to go down south and live there for 2 years, play football professionally. And my mum told me the other day on the podcast, she told me, she went, I probably put you off because I didn't want you to go. I was only 16. And I don't remember mum and dad saying like, no, don't go. But probably subliminally there was a different pressure of 16. There was no internet, there was no communication. So you were little and moving like to Ipswich, but it was the other side of the world for me as a 16-year-old. And I said no to it, and it changed the whole trajectory of my life. I then met Gillian. So it's like, if my mum and dad had been like, maybe more entrepreneurial, more like, go for it, see what happens. All of this. So exactly your point.
You're
those
exactly
tiny
where
little
you're
moments
supposed to be at this point in your life. For a reason.
Yeah.
For a reason.
I think, as we wrap up, it's been 17 years. I think through the question set, it was actually difficult to pick really like low points. Yeah, I tend to assign low points to maybe some financial pressures. But when you look back in your life, you look back to the memories, the travels, the moments with the people you love.
Not what was in your bank.
No. So that, people say money doesn't change you. I think it doesn't change you as a person. It just amplifies you as a person, whether you've got it or not got it. So you'll be a good person or a bad person with money or without money. But as a business, we're trying to grow the business for the sake of all of us and have an even better lifestyle and for all the team. So 17 years later, I think we do just need to say well done to all of us. Yep. But it's now up to the next group of people to write the next chapters of 29 Studios and for us to direct that as best as we can.
And I think for the first time in 17 years is like recognise it, like what we're doing today, but then also celebrate it. And that's what we're obviously going to go and do after an event in Rome. Yep. It's something we've never done.
At the Colosseum.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even planned like that.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, we're actually all going to build it.
Well, we just get some extra days. And then it was the other day we said, how do we want to celebrate being 17? We're like, well, we'll just go for dinner. And then we were like, we're going to Rome. Well, let's all celebrate there. So it is celebrating it and trying to enjoy the moments, but equally that's hard to do when we do have that mindset, when we're just always pushing forward, we're always striving for better, we're always striving for more, but it's someone trying to catch everyone else to take that moment when possible.
And we deserve it. We've worked hard. Like we've worked long hours.
Yeah, there's no overnight success.
No.
No. That's probably the one message is it's not.
When we're 20, everybody will say, yous are just dead lucky.
Yeah. So my final thing is thank you to the four of us for sticking with it. Well never having, as you said, never having any major fallouts. Putting up with each other. But it's been an absolute privilege the last 17 years. And here's to the next 17 where I don't even want to think about what age I would be in 17 years.
So
on that basis, thank you.
Yeah, well done.